So, sir, what are you intending to do this year for your blog show?
Well, considering that this is going to be my 10th season, I think it's fair to be a little bit randomized in order to make it fun for my viewers. Also, in order to save time, I should also limit myself from blogging films released or connected to the years of 2012, 2013, 2014, 2016, 2018, and 2019. And I think I should keep my wings tucked in for a while.
However, sir, my functions will give you permission to do only one film from each of those years, and of course, you can still blog spin offs and TV specials.
Okay, that should be a good enough plan for this year. And I think right now it's time to begin.
But, sir, how are you going to start this season?
Hmm. Well, I think I should start with an anime movie that a certain friend from my junior high age, whom I sadly lost touch with, introduced me to during the mid 2000s. So, roll the intro, computer. Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Season 10 of Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Wowie zowie. 10 seasons. I mean, I think it's really awesome how far I've come over the years. I mean, I've made about 615 blogs, 16 countdowns. Also, I've gained over 23,900 subscribers, and I've made several new friends on Google. Man, crazy, huh? Anyway, let's talk about one of the most interesting anime series that I've ever known about. Inuyasha. Based on the manga series by Rumiko Takahashi, the series begins with Kagome Higurashi, a 15-year-old middle school girl from modern-day Tokyo who is transported to the Sengoku or feudal era period after falling into a well in her family's shrine, where she meets the half-dog demon named Inuyasha. After the sacred Shikon jewel reemerges from deep inside Kagome's body, she accidentally shatters it into dozens of fragments that scatter across medieval Japan. Inuyasha and Kagome set out to recover the jewel's fragments, and throughout their quest, they are joined by a monk named Moroku, a demon slayer named Sango, and a young fox demon named Shippo. Together, they journey to restore the Shikon jewel before it falls into the evil hands of the evil half-demon Naraku. Now, the main series has ran for about 167 episodes, and they aired from 2000 to 2004, and the final act series has a total of 26 episodes, which ran from 2009 to 2010. Also, Inuyasha has gained a sequel series called Yashahime Princess Half Demon, which has been airing since October 2020. Now, I haven't really seen Inuyasha's show in full yet, though I have seen a few episodes online, and I recently bought the whole series on DVD. And in my opinion, I think this anime series, while pretty mature and sometimes crude, it's also very action-packed and mythically interesting. However, back in summer 2005, I was first introduced to Inuyasha by reading a manga book based on his first theatrical movie, while I was sleeping over at my friend Christopher Haskin's house. And that movie is the subject of my blog today. Released in Japan on December 15th, 2001, and in the United States on September 7th, 2004, the movie is Inuyasha the Movie, Affections Touching Across Time. Now, on for the plot of the movie. In this movie, 2 centuries ago, Inuyasha's late dog demon father, Toga, defeated a powerful Chinese moth demon named Hyoga, but a Shikon jewel fragment has freed his son, Minomaru, who seeks to avenge his father's death and free the tremendously infinite power and strength of his father sealed away with him. So, it's up to Inuyasha and Kagome, along with Sango, Miroku, Shippo, and Miyoga, to stop Monomaru into becoming the most powerful demon ever. So, what are my thoughts on this movie? Well, in my eyes, ever since I rented it from Netflix during my high school age, I thought this was a pretty thrilling and interesting film, and after watching it again, it does bring back a lot of fond memories from the show. But to further explain why I enjoyed this movie, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, there's not too much trivia to talk about, except for the fact that this is the first film in the Inuyasha franchise, and I think it takes place late during Season 2, between episodes 54 and 55, during the time when Rin is already taken in by Sesshomaru, and Inuyasha masters the backlash wave, but not far enough for Kikyo to have lost her bitterness over her death, which cut her off from the flow of time. Now, what are my thoughts on the animation? Well, in my eyes, the Japanese animation is absolutely top-notch, staying true to the show, while also having an amazing cinematic-styled budget. Plus, in my opinion, it kind of feels pretty similar to Toei or Studio Ghibli's style of animation. Also, I think the feudal era of Japan is very medieval and interesting due to the many demons and monsters that Inuyasha and friends battle throughout the series. Also, I think the Tree of Ages in the Forest of No Return, where Monomaru lives, is a very foreboding looking place. As for the story, well, I think the story is very nostalgic due to it bringing back memories from the first few episodes, and I think the main plot is very thrilling and thought-provoking and very emotional. Plus, I think the battles and fight scenes are kind of reminiscent to Final Fantasy, The Chronicles of Narnia, and Lord of the Rings. Also, I think the part where modern-day Tokyo is cursed into an eternal winter is the most emotional part in the entire movie. And that's basically all I got for Mustang notes. So, let's move on to the characters and the voice actors. And before I get started, I'm only going to talk about the English cast. The title character, Inuyasha, is voiced by Richard Ian Cox, who would later voice Snails in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. As a half-demon, Inuyasha has had a difficult and lonely childhood, as demons and humans mostly despised him for his mixed bloodline. Anyway, to me, Inuyasha is driven by a fierce, persistent determination to win, and I think his guts in battle have proven to work in his favor. However, I think his emotions can often drive him to behave pretty immaturely and childish, and it also becomes very tiresome to his friends at times. Also, Inuyasha can be pretty hot-headed and foolish, but underneath it all, he has a kind and caring heart. Also, I think his demon abilities and his sword skills are really ferocious, fast, and amazing. Our second main character, Kagome Higurashi, is voiced by Monica Story. Kagome is an average teenage girl from modern-day Tokyo. In my opinion, Kagome is a brave and kind girl who believes in never turning her back on somebody in trouble. Plus, I think she's highly skilled in archery, and she has immensely strong spiritual powers. Also, of all the characters in the series, Kagome has the most emotional strength, never allowing anger or jealousy to commit acts of evil. Also, I think she makes a pretty good love interest for Inuyasha, and I think the both of them make a great team together, despite sometimes bickering with one another. Also, the parts where Kagome commands Inuyasha to sit always cracks me up. Our next character is Sango, a demon slayer voiced by Kelly Sheridan, best known from the Barbie films, but I mostly know her as Starlight Glimmer from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Now, Sango is described by her father as the most skilled exterminator in her village, and I think her huge boomerang is a really amazing weapon. By the way, the reason why Sango joins Inuyasha's party is in order to avenge her father, whom was killed, and she also wants to save her brother Kohaku from Naraku. Next is Sango's faithful companion, the two-tailed demon cat Kilala, who usually appears in the form of a small kitten-sized feline with two tails. But Kilala can also become a large, ferocious tiger-like creature, big enough to carry several passengers whenever the need arises. Also, in that form, Kilala has sharp fangs, she has fire attacks, and she can fly. However, during this movie, Kilala has become corrupted by Monomaru's henchwomen to turn against her friends, until Sango helps Kilala bring her back to her senses during the final battle. Next is the flirtatious Moroku, voiced by Kirby Morrow, who sadly died at the age of 47 from alcohol abuse back in November 2020. Now, this guy travels the countryside performing spiritual services such as exorcisms and demon exterminations, though he has a habit of either ripping off or outright robbing his clients if they are rich. And Moroku can also be really dirty and inappropriate while womanizing, especially with Sango, who mostly slaps him. Also to note, Moroku's greatest weapon is the wind tunnel, which is actually a hereditary curse originally inflicted upon his grandfather by Naraku. Next up is Shippo, a young fox demon voiced by Jillian Michaels. In my eyes, Shippo is such an adorable and sneaky little fellow. By the way, Shippo's goal is to become stronger in order to avenge his father's death. What I like about Shippo is that he's deeply loyal to Kagome, and he often calls Inuyasha out on his bad behavior towards her. Plus, Shippo usually plays tricks on Inuyasha and blurts out uncomfortable or embarrassing facts. Lastly, I like that Shippo views the entire group as his surrogative family. Oh yes, we can't forget Miyoga, the elderly flea demon voiced by Paul Dobson, who voices Inuyasha's arch nemesis Naraku, along with Hapusai from Ranma 1/2 and Rudolph's Uncle Dasher in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the movie. Now, this character gives Inuyasha information on current events, foes, and the shards of the Shikan Jewel. While Miyoga is wise, he often flees before or during a battle, which the others recognize as a sign of pending danger. We also have Lady Kaede, voiced by Pam Heat. Kaede is Kikyo's younger sister, who used to assist her with various tasks, such as gathering herbs and holding her quiver of arrows. But after Kikyo's death, Kaede became an unusually strong shrine priestess in her own right, and she defends the village against demons. One of the things I like about Kaede is that she usually speaks in Old English, which I think makes sense for the show's time setting. Another character to talk about is Kikyo, voiced by Willow Johnson. Kikyo was a powerful, high-ranking priestess, and she used to be Inuyasha's love interest 50 years prior to the events of the show. But after being deceived and fatally injured by Naraku, Kikyo bound Inuyasha to the sacred tree with an arrow, and she sacrificed her own life to keep the jewel from returning to the realm of the living. Shortly after the jewel was brought back to the feudal era, Kikyo was resurrected by a demon ogress. After learning about the circumstances of her death, she resolved to destroy Naraku and to purge the Shikan Jewel from the world. In my eyes, Kikyo is a very mysterious and wise character, but there are times where she's somewhat bitter, vengeful, and distrustful. Also, I felt that the scene where Kikyo banishes Kagome from the feudal era was a very harsh and depressing moment. Next we have Ruri and Hari, Monomaru's henchwomen voiced by Venus Terzo and Lelania Lindbergh. In my eyes, these two are very solid, deceitful, manipulative, and twisted villains. and I thought it was very nasty of them to copy Moroku's wind tunnel and curse Kilala. But before then, they sent a scorpion demon to fight Inuyasha's gang as a trap. Finally, we come to the main villain, Monomaru, voiced by Vincent Gale. This evil character is a moth demon and the son of Hyoga, who invaded Japan 200 years ago. They were opposed by Inuyasha and Sesshomaru's father, Toga, the great dog demon, and consequently, Monomaru and Hyoga's powers were both sealed away to the ancient Tree of Ages. However, after being revived and freed by a Shikon jewel shard, he makes it his goal to obtain his father's power by having Inuyasha use his Tetsaiga to remove the seal, and then Monomaru can become the new Lord Hyoga in order to take over the world. In my eyes, Monomaru is an extremely intimidating, intelligent, and confident demon who proves himself to be a shrewd and devious manipulator, rivaling even Naraku. Plus, Monomaru is very cautious, and he takes his time in implementing his plans. Also, I thought his most evil and devious moment is when he kidnaps Kagome and puts her under mind control to make her injure Inuyasha. Also, I think his Lord Hyoga form looks very, very powerful. Other voices in the film include David Kaye as Inuyasha's half-brother Sesshomaru, Don Brown as Master Jokin, Brianna O'Brien as Rin, and Terry Klassen as Moroku's servant Hachiman, or Hachi for short. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Inuyasha, Affections Touching Across Time, is a pretty interesting movie in the Inuyasha quadrilogy. Yes, the Japanese animation is great. It has amazing world building, plus some parts bring back a lot of fond memories from the first few episodes. The score by Kaoru Wada is amazing to listen to. Inuyasha and Kagome make a great team together, despite their mixed relationship. Their friends Shippo, Moroku, Sango, and Kilala are great team members. The main villain, Monomaru, has got to be one of the most powerful demons that Inuyasha has ever faced, next to Naraku. Lastly, the main story is very thrilling, thought-provoking, and the fight scenes are epic and pretty intense. If you're a fan of the Inuyasha TV show or the manga series, then I highly recommend you folks to check this movie out. However, I wouldn't recommend it for people under the age of 13 due to some violence, suggestiveness, and adult language. So, I'll give this movie a 91% out of 100. Now, you may be asking, will I blog the other Inuyasha movies? Well, maybe not. Besides, I think Jack from Big Jack Films has reviewed the second movie better than I can. Well, anyway, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog. Mustang Power.